Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Okay.
We good?
Yep.
Okay. Welcome anybody that's listening to us out there to the June 16th, 2020 Fire District 6 Commissioners Board meeting. Call the meeting to order, and I'll ask for any additions to the agenda.
I have 2 additions, Commissioner.
Okay.
So under old business, YouTube live recordings,
Okay.
and under new business, PRESA refund.
That's a refund. Okay, one old and one new. Anything else from anybody?
None here. None here.
Read and approve the minutes of the June 2nd, 2020 regular meeting and workshop.
Make a motion to approve those minutes from the June 2nd meeting.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Any citizen communications? Hearing none. Committee reports. Health and safety, we don't have one. The parade was canceled. Risk management is going to be July 1st. Triple FB?
We had a report last meeting,
Right.
and then we're expecting to have a state of the Triple FB report at our next Triple FB. And Chief Maurer, if you could please, somehow, I don't get my meeting notifications until like the night before or something like that. I don't know calendar-wise when that is, and I guess I should look at our calendar and see if it's on there first before I say that.
I will send that to you, Commissioner Collins.
Thank you. I'd like to put it on my hard calendar so I'm not surprised.
Okay.
This is kind of Triple FB, but there's been I guess the hearing examiner is looking at 30-some acres, 330 homes at 811 Northwest 179th Street, which has to be just west of the fire station. So,
Yeah, there's a sign up there now.
yeah, 300. I think it's 332 homes on. I think it's R112, so they're going to be small lots, but it's going to be close to the station, so that's good if we ever can staff it. So anyway, anything else? Community reports?
On the triple FB, I mean, I'd rather, and I didn't cover this, but can we get the lawn mowed? That'd be really good.
I think that's a Jaeger thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know, but it's like 2 feet tall.
That's correct. Clark County Fire and Rescue takes care of the facilities, so I will notify them.
Thank you.
A little bit more on that. The development over there. One of them is slated for that 10-acre lots, and the other one is a long-term development site that won't be developed for several years. It's going to take 550,000 cubic yards of structural dirt. They're going to stockpile, and they will be filling that for the foreseeable future and then develop that long-term once zoning changes to the subdivision. Right now they're zoned for 10-acre lots.
Wow. Is that why they're into the hearing examiner, to get a change, or?
Well, I believe they're getting a field permit right now, but there's 2 different sites that we're talking about.
Okay.
One of them was Terry Woolham, and they're going to go, I think, with Hope Homes on that. And then the other site will be a fill site, like I said, 500,000 yards of dirt to go in there. They're going to fill up that canyon and then hopefully rezone that. So there's 2 things that are going to happen. One of them is going to be long term.
Okay. Good to know. Thank you, sir. I call your attention to the consent agenda.
Move for approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Chief's report. Overtime summary.
The overtime for May 2020 was $17,098. That's significantly lower than the same time last year. And a lot of that's due to COVID, things being shut down, and personnel not using vacation and leave.
Good. Budget performance report.
And for the budget performance report, for 6212 general fire, the anticipated expenditures should be at 49%. We have expended 40% of that budget. For 6242, again, the anticipated expenditures would be 49%, and we're expended at 45%. So again, we're still tracking higher than we did last year at this same time, but we're still attributing those to our large purchases and the COVID expenses.
Okay.
But we're starting to taper off.
Questions?
How's that tracking of the COVID costing going? Are we? Is that flattening out?
Last estimate of COVID cost was right below $24,000. Chief Russell and I have been working with FEMA the last week, and FEMA can reimburse probably all of that money. So we're going through the process of sending them all of our receipts and expenditures for reimbursement.
Very good. Thanks for tracking.
Good deal. Okay, we're going to move on to facility projects update, please.
And I'll turn that over to Chief Newberry.
Thanks, Chief Maurer. Mr. Chairman, we're still continuing with limited contacts with the contractors as far as protecting their employees and our employees from COVID. But we are obviously still moving ahead with our projects. Station 62, there's just a few things left to do out there. I've got 2 electrical items that are on the punch list that are getting fixed on Thursday, and hopefully that will wrap up most everything but warranty items that happen between now and the end of the warranty period. Excuse me. Station 63. So this morning, or late last night, there was a burglary at the job shack on the property at Station 63. That was captured on our video cameras, which is great, but unfortunately, because of the configuration of the job trailer and the Connex box that is there, it's of limited use. The contractor lost a number of items. They're hoping that they can get some assistance from the bank that has better a better view of that side of the trailer, and plus the perpetrator messed with some of their equipment on the bank property too. So anyway, I spent much of today looking at that stuff, but the report has been reported. A report has been filed with the Sheriff's Office by 2KG, and we lost, from what we can tell, just the time-lapse camera that Schmidtke had been managing, doing the project. So, yeah, it's a bummer. As far as the landscaping is concerned, we are not happy with the lawn, and we are working with the contractor right now to remedy that. Some of the areas are great, and some of them are pathetic, and he is confident that we can take care of that. And so over the next month, they'll be treating it for weeds and fertilizing it and ensuring that we get a good stand of grass there. But we're going to keep a tight eye on that one, or a close eye on that one.
Good. And I noticed they pulled some weeds too. Thank you.
Yeah.
Chief Newberry?
Yeah. Is that Commissioner Collins?
Yeah, Commissioner Collins here.
Yeah.
That landscaping, is 2KG performing that landscaping project themselves, or do they have a subcontractor who's a licensed professional in that field?
Yeah, they've hired Cedar Landscaping Services, who has basically two divisions, an installation division and a maintenance division. And I met with their foreman on both of those pieces last Thursday. We walked the job site, and we laid out our expectations of how that was going to be remedied. So I'm confident it will be fine. It's just it needs to get fine now. So
I get it. I appreciate this long
Thank
overdue.
you. Yep. There was 2 dogwood trees that were donated by Abby Davis and her family in appreciation for the efforts of the N63C crew that helped her a number of weeks ago. I know you're all familiar with that story. We planted those trees, one by the sign, where the sign's going to be at the roundabout, the other in the back area by the patio where the Boy Scouts put in, and then we had a small plaque, and just a nice little, very quaint recognition of those crews last week. It was, I think, a meaningful time. So anyway, appreciated that Mutual Materials donated the small stone that we used to mount that plaque to, and it's affixed with some stakes into the ground, so it should be there for years. So it's pretty neat. Signage. We are researching the feasibility of installing backlit signs on the side of the building on the north side of 63, so that it can be identified as the fire district station and the station number. And we're just trying to figure out how the best way to run lights into that currently is. So that's still in progress. The monument sign that's going to go out at the roundabout is in production as we speak. It's going to be a few weeks yet before it's complete. The artwork, as we talked about last board meeting, the artwork committee, the photographs that we submitted were too small, and their quality wasn't high enough, so we had to go back to the drawing board. We have resubmitted photographs for their review to see if those are going to work any better, and we should have some movement on that in the next week or two. Finally, the training tower underwent the testing that's required for the bolts that hold the iron together. That's done through a third party with some specialized equipment, and those passed, so that's good. The floors and walls are being built now, and they're still working on the underground utilities. As has been alluded to over the last couple of board meetings, we've got this change in design to the oil water separator. I received this afternoon about 3:00 the best estimate for what that's going to cost, and it's in the $40,000 range. Actually, I think it was about $38,000. And so we'll be continuing to bring that information to you as we have it, but that's what the current estimate is on that project. Still working with the electrician to build the design build for the electrical work. And finally, the completion date for the project is still July 16th, but I know that that's going to change after our Thursday meeting. I'm expecting it to be more like the middle of August, but we'll have to wait and see what the schedule gets revamped for. I think this is secondary to the change in this oil water separator, which the comparison that they gave me is replacing something the size of a doghouse with something the size of a small Connex box. So it's quite a bit of infrastructure that has to be changed, a lot of rock that will have to be brought in, and obviously the design process that's taken some time back and forth. So I apologize. I didn't change that last note for the spreadsheet. That was updated last board meeting, and it's updated once a month, so I will get it for you next board meeting. I apologize for not correcting that.
Thank you. Thank you for the update.
Thanks. Hey, one question on the electrical design build. Is it the same electrical contractor that you used on the 63 sector itself,
Yes.
or have you selected them?
I'm sorry. I didn't hear the last part of you. I interrupted you.
You said yes, so that answered my question. My last part was, or how did you select them?
Yeah, no, because that contractor has been so involved in the project, I'm asking him to help me do the design build. And it falls under the threshold for going out to bid on it. And so they've been very, very fair to us and have done great work for us. I wouldn't mind considering them for a lot more of our electrical work. So I like them. They're good.
Well, thanks for the extra insight.
And they're local. Yeah, you're welcome.
Oh, they're local, good. Chief Newberry, who got the bid for the document sign?
Can you say that again?
Who got the bid for the document sign? What sign company is building the document sign? Or the, not document, the electric sign on the corner, the monument sign?
Oh, the monument sign. That is Vancouver Sign. They're the ones that the board approved that bid back at the beginning of the year, and it's just been put on hold because of COVID. But now it's back in, it's in production now, so that's Vancouver Sign.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Any other questions for Chief Newberry?
None here.
None here. Thank
Hearing
you.
none, we're going to move on. Thanks, Sean. We're going to move on to old business, board meeting date and time. Gentlemen.
Yeah, whose pleasure is it to move it? I mean, I can go either way, especially right now, with the caveat that, if we get back to normal, that, we can change it back. So if we have to have it at this meeting, that we make that decision. I'm good with the 6 o'clock, first and third Tuesday, if that's the desire.
I think we're having trouble hearing.
Yeah, I missed most of that.
I'm sorry.
There you go. We can hear you now.
If that's the desire to go to a 6 o'clock start time, as long as we're doing this, and it doesn't even matter. I mean, 6 o'clock start time, first and third Tuesday is fine with me if that's the board's pleasure and it helps everybody out. With the understanding that, someday that may need to change to make it available for somebody who wants to run for, I don't know, whatever the board budget is going to be. So the short story is I'm okay with 6 o'clock if that's still the desire.
Commissioner Pfeiffer?
Yeah, the 6 o'clock time would work fine for me as well. Chief Maurer, do you have any desire for a specific time? Is 6 o'clock, does that work for staff, or what can you add to that?
Yeah, I think we discussed it last meeting. Originally, staff was asking if we could do it during the business hours, but that didn't work with all of our schedules. So 6 o'clock's better than 7:30 for staff. So whatever accommodations the board is willing to do would be appreciated.
Okay.
So my question is for Secretary Taylor. That's actually a policy change. It's in the board policy manual. So I assume we can't vote on it at this meeting, but we have to wait until next meeting? Or since we discussed it last meeting, can we vote on it?
Actually, Mr. Chairman, at the last meeting, you stated that it would be voted on the next meeting, as I recall.
Okay, the 6 o'clock time, right?
Yes, sir.
That's my recollection as well.
Okay. So I'm looking for a motion to advertise and change our meetings. We're not going to change the first and third Tuesday of the month, but we are going to change our meeting time from 7:30 to 6, and at this point in time it'll remain at Station 1. So I'm looking for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any more further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you,
problem.
Board.
We had an addition to old business, which was the meeting recordings on YouTube, Chief.
So after consulting with our IT specialist, there's no way that we can turn off the recording function on YouTube Live. So as long as we're YouTube Live, we'll have to record them. Dave Schmicky has been looking into storage, media storage that he can use not only for these YouTube Live meetings, but for any media that we put out. And it's pretty affordable. So we're comfortable as long as we're still in this YouTube Live forum, that it's stored on YouTube for now, and then we'll purchase a media storage component. But that's different than we discussed last week, so I just wanted to let you know.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm hoping we go to phase 3, and so the second meeting in July we can actually have a live meeting, but we'll have to wait and see. So until then, thank you. So any other old business? Okay, new business. The first one is annual reports, which are in your packet.
So policy 312 outlines what we are to report as a district on annual reports. And the RCW says that we have to report whatever the board decides. So we'll follow policy under that. We had an issue between 2016 and 2018 where a couple of things happened. First, we switched software from Firehouse to ESO. And then we also had Battalion Chief Johnson retire, who was in charge of that program of getting those times and filtering that information. So during that time period, we've spent the last 6 months trying to get that information and filter it either through First Watcher or other software programs, and we're just not able to build those reports. So what we did is we went ahead and wrote our 2016, 17, and 18 annual reports. And for the information we couldn't get, we clearly identified that that was information that we couldn't collect. And that's how we presented the reports to you. Moving forward in 2019, we'll strictly follow policy. Now that we have the new platform of ESO online, we can get all those data points that the board outlined in policy 312.
Okay. And that's somewhat required by the state, is it not?
Well, the RCW requires that the board outline what data points they want to measure. And so you did that in policy. So you can choose the data points you want to measure.
Okay. So we meet the RCW then, that's fine.
Yes.
We're just playing catch up.
Correct.
Okay.
Chief, this Commissioner Pfeiffer, I see in the folder here under the annual reports that the RCW was included. I'm unfamiliar with policy 312. Did that be included, or could I get a look at that as well, just so I can see what the baseline data points that the board had acknowledged for the report?
Sure, I will send that to you.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else on annual reports for the chief?
Done here.
Okay. We added Cressa refund, Chief.
So Cressa sent us a letter last week that they reduced our radio dispatch fees by 7.5% for the 2020 fiscal year. They did that to all agencies that used Cressa, and they did it in an effort to help with the COVID burden. So our refund for District 6 was a total refund of $9,710 from Cressa.
That's better than paying $9,700 more.
There you go.
Any questions for the chief?
None here.
Okay, hearing none. We're not going to do executive session, so we're going to go to roundtable and go to the order. Well, I'll start and say that, and the chief and I have been talking about this. Tomorrow night, we are going to be part of a group that is going to do kind of a procession over to Sarah Anderson's school. The teachers were waiting for the Hill bill to pass, the Tiffany Hill bill to pass, before they went forward and got some closure on that whole shooting that I know you guys are familiar with. And one of the teachers reached out to the Business Association board and asked if there was something the Business Association could do. So the fire district and CCSO have put together a group of folks who are going to go through. We have some signage. We're going to, Sheriff Atkins is going to speak for a couple minutes. I think we have a couple engines and maybe a squad and some staff vehicles that are going to go through. At some point, we'll stop and we'll get out, maintain our 6 feet, maybe give them a round of applause, listen to Chuck speak to them, and then we're going to get in our vehicles and leave. We're hoping it gives them some closure. I know some of the teachers have been having difficulty with the whole thing, so it'll give them some closure, kind of celebrate the Tiffany Hill bill passing, and I believe the chief has made arrangements so our crew that was on that can go too, and hopefully that'll give them a little closure. So, if either one of you, I know Chris, you've got to work.
Yeah.
Casey, if you want to participate, we're going to be at Station 1 between 6:30 and 6:45, kind of line up and then head over.
What day is that?
Tomorrow night.
All right, thanks. See what I can do.
And I appreciate the chief and Dave Schmidtke working on that on behalf of the fire district. I think it's a good thing to do. So, any other? One more roundtable. Secretary Taylor, Commissioner Pfeiffer, and I all sat through the Schnur webinars, which are required every 4 years, and we made it through. And it's good refresher information. I think Commissioner Pfeiffer actually probably learned a lot.
Yeah.
And the webinar was successful for the WFCA. We actually made a little money instead of losing some. And there might be some in the future. So that was good news.
Great.
Any other roundtable or good of order?
Well, I just would like to mention that I heard the legislature is having problems with the open public meeting requirement, and it seems as though we slayed that dragon months ago, and it seems as though, from what I heard, that we're meeting what they're now trying to do, what they're trying to achieve, is have it available for people to be able to speak, and they haven't quite figured it out. So I just want to commend everybody for this effort to adhere to the Open Public Meetings Act. And, and if we're on roundtable and go to the order, I wanted to mention that at my address, I received the Reflector. In the last issue of the Reflector, the president of the Hazelville Salmon Creek Business Association wrote a letter to the editor in support of the lid lift for Fire District 6. So,
that's great.
Yeah.
We sent that to the Columbian too about a week ago, and they haven't printed it, so we'll see.
Okay.
And that's part of the plan. I mean, if you want a little update on it, I'm sure the chief can kind of tell you where we are.
Sure.
Yeah, so we've been, I've reached out to all of our neighborhood associations and clubs and other organizations. I've only heard back from Lyons, Salmon Creek, and Hazelville Business Association that they have the ability to do a virtual presentation. So I have both those scheduled. I'll reach out to them, to all the other ones again in another week or so, and see if any are interested. We have our frequently asked questions cards on all the apparatus right now. So if personnel go on a call or out in public and have somebody ask questions about the levy, they have information provided to them that they can give to them. And then we're also just finalizing our mailing of the frequently asked questions cards that will go out in the mail in July.
Have you? had
Okay.
the pros or cons people to submit to the ballot, to the voters pamphlet.
Yeah, so that was due mid-May, and we advertised for both pros and cons. We had one citizen that wanted to write a letter in support of the lid lift. She completed that and got that in, so that is on the ballot. We had no citizens that came forward and wanted to write a letter against the lid lift. So we only have a pro statement in the ballot.
Okay.
Oh, great.
Perfect.
Good news.
Well, I think that the video presentation you put together that was on the district Facebook and website was very well done. And I actually had a commissioner from another fire district department that called me up and wanted to know who did our videotaping, and I told him I wouldn't tell him. So it was really good, and the comments on Facebook I think were all positive. I didn't look again today, but it was very well done. And I know Liz helped with that and a couple other things. So she's involved with our group that meets once a month, and I think things are going well. I think the chief used the word consider, asking our citizens to consider it, which is totally neutral and totally fine. And I was real pleased with it. I thought it was good.
Well, thank you. I have to give kudos to Schmicky on that one. He gives me all the pointers.
Nice.
I need to get back to the agenda, honey. I lost my agenda. Anyway,
You talking to me?
no, I'm talking to what I lost the agenda now. What? Because I said, honey.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other? Casey. Any other roundtable or good order? Hearing none, we need to authorize the June issuance of payroll warrants, authorize the June payroll direct deposits, authorize June deposit of federal and FICA medical withholding. We need to authorize pre-authorization invoice transmittals, and we need to authorize payment of current bills.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Hearing nothing else at this point, I am going to adjourn the meeting, and thank you everyone for being involved and listening, and hopefully come the end of July we'll be able to do a live one. So thank you, and you can expect our first meeting in July to be this same YouTube situation unless something happens. So thank you, staff. Thank you, other commissioners, and thank you and everybody else. So good night.
All right. Be safe. Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you.